Hi everyone. So today is a Sunday, and it was a beautiful creative day for me. And while I was writing an article that hopefully will come out this week. And while I was writing an article, my husband was going through all of our pictures from, I guess, most of our life. Those that were kind of dispersed in boxes and in picture frames, and was scanning them. And obviously, some of the things that we lived, things about the children celebrations, the adorable pictures, the little, things that they were doing when they were in school, the gifts to us for our birthdays and anniversaries, and oh my God, just and for the first time in a really, really long time, I wasn't sad or crying. I was just very touched. There were even like announcements of birth, the announcement of birth of our first daughter, the ultrasounds of, my, like the first signs of my pregnancy with twins, like all this stuff. All these things were a source of huge pain and sadness for me in these last 10 years, maybe a little less than 10. But this is the first time that I was able to look at all of these pictures with just gratitude and just, witnessing the tremendous and beautiful life that we've shared. And even my husband came to say, he actually, yeah, he came up to me just now and said thank you. And I'm like, oh, what is that about? Because I just made us dinner. And he was like, oh, for dinner and this. And then he was like, I guess, looking at all the pictures, it's just like for our life. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I referred to it kind of in the past tense, and he was like, no, but it still is fun. Oh yeah, I said it was so much fun. And he was like, well, it still is fun. And that was just such a warm and life affirming statement from him, because honestly, the last few years were not as much fun. They were fun too, of course, right? Let's be really, really, really fair and really, really, really present and really grateful where gratitude is due. But there were some moments that were just so excruciatingly painful that, yeah, I mean, looking back now, I'm amazed that, that I survived. And so all this to say that we're going into a huge unknown, because we decided that before March or by March, we'll be leaving this place where we lived for the last 23, 24 years, where, in France, where our children were born, went to school, grew up and left, and we finally decided that we're going to be leaving too. We're going on an adventure. I will talk more about it when I feel ready. It's all kind of like I'm going between exhilaration and excitement of a new life, and grieving of, not grieving as a loss anymore, but just kind of really acknowledging the fact that this huge, huge chapter of life is being closed physically now through this move. And we decided also to give up all of our possessions, with the exception of very few, which relate to, when our girls were little, and just some of the things that are just extremely emotionally valuable. But otherwise, we're going to get rid of all of our possessions. And that in itself is, I'm vacillating between how good it feels, because I actually always admired people who would like get rid of all of their possessions and, just be really, really light and go travel the world. And like, I was always drawn and really attracted and admired people like that. So it's not terribly surprising that I am the one who's doing that, because as I always, tell my clients, whatever we're attracted to has a message for us. So the reason I was attracted to people who did that meant that, there was something in it, in that experience for me as well. And now I'm living it. And so, yeah. And another thing is that also the going into the unknown, it's really me living what I preach, because I know already that it's in the unknown that something wonderful can happen. Otherwise, we're just repeating the past. All innovation, all creative expression, all creation really happens in the unknown. That's when we can create something new rather than repeat the past. So we're going to take roughly a year and travel around with a very loose plan, not very specific plan, just really taking it as we go. And so, yeah, it's a kind of adventure that I always dreamed of, but we woke up a few months ago and just both decided that it's time. And I was so clear that I really didn't want to, we said we would do it after the girls left home, and that's been a couple of years now, 3 years to be precise, a little less. And I just had this real knowing, this insight that if we don't do it now, we'll wake up one day 20 years too late and regret all the things we didn't do. So what is really interesting about this is that once we decided that we were going to do it, it brought so much youthful energy into our couple, into our relationship. Suddenly we're like, again, these two souls navigating life together, because it's such an adventure and it's nice to be able to do it together. And it's just, yeah, I just really spent the day listening to some people I follow about, quantum reality and how we are living in vibrational reality, and that it's only in the unknown that creation is possible, and that we shouldn't fear. So basically, I'm really, in the last 10 years, I've been training myself to learn to live in a reality that is very different than the reality for which I was raised. And it's at once mind-blowing and scary, and sometimes I'm like, am I going completely crazy? And at the same time, what an incredible thing to live in the middle of huge changes, really like going from one paradigm from old paradigm to the new, revisioning all the belief systems, limiting beliefs, everything that I thought about life, love, relationships, the way life should be. Basically, it's somebody I listened to today said that we spend so much energy resisting life, and all we have to do, we don't have to do anything, we just have to allow it to come to us, we just have to allow life to take us where we need to go. And this is what I feel is what my next chapter is going to be about. So stay tuned. See you tomorrow.